All right, how are you guys doing today? My name is Bakari Thomas, and this is Mentality ID. Today we have a very special guest, Denoi, and I will let him formally introduce himself. He'll tell us his full name, his age, and where he's from and what school he's going to currently.
Right, so my name is Denoi Black, as you guys have heard. Right now, I'm 22 years old, and I'm currently going to Andrews University, and I am from Michigan.
Okay, cool, cool. And Denoi, just tell us a little bit about what made you want to consider physical therapy as a profession.
Okay, good question. So, physical therapy is something that, I guess it's a career that you get to um, interact with people on a daily basis. And it's not a career where you're just, sitting down from a 9 to 5 job and doing some either book work or computer work. It's a very interactive job. And for me, two of my biggest passions are wellness and exercise. So I guess physical therapy was just a profession that met at the crossroads of wellness and exercise. And it's something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So that was the right choice for me.
Yeah, that was a good choice. So you say you're 22. So for you, those of you guys who don't know, Denoy actually, we went to the same school. I'm a little ahead of him, but we went to the same school, graduated. Well, actually, we didn't graduate from the same alma mater because Denoy has a very specific situation. He was a 3+3 student, so his journey is actually a little bit fast tracked for the physical therapy program. Denoy, can you tell us a little bit about what the 3+3 is? And also, you going from a junior to a graduate program, tell us how that transition was for you.
Yeah, so a little background on the 3+3. It's a partnership that Oakwood University has with Andrews University, two sister institutions that allow students to have a fast track to PT school. And for me, it was the opportunity to, have that fast pace, that fast track, and cut off 1 year off of the whole career academically. And for me, it was the right choice because not only did it allow me to, have a better understanding of what it meant to go into grad school, but it allowed me to excel my studies. So for me, what I did was my junior year, I left Oakland University and came to Andrews. And when I came to Andrews, I was entered into a grad student program. And this is typically given to students that meet the requirements, undergrad requirements, and then are allowed to go to grad school 1 year earlier.
Gotcha. And yeah, so basically a little bit of a fast track, and I didn't even realize this when I was in undergrad, but Denoy is like you say, he's a little bit younger. He was one of the younger ones coming into the class, and with the 3+3, there are schools, Oakwood's one, Southern's one, and then of course here at Andrews we have another school. The school we're at, they basically take undergraduates that do 3 years of undergrad, and then if their grades are good enough, they can go to PT school. So, was there a GPA requirement that you had to have to do the 3+3? And then also, how did they go about if you didn't finish all your like your requirements for school by the time you applied?
Yeah, so the requirements to be in that program is you have to have a 3.5
Oh,
GPA or higher. Yeah. And so how they did it was if you had to meet all the requirements, the prereqs for PT school before you were accepted in. And then after you're accepted in, you have to finish 1 full year of that graduate program to get your bachelor's degree.
okay.
So for many students, it's easier, but it's also a risk too.
Yeah, relative. So, was it all that you expected it to be? That transition from going from Oakwood and then going into PT school, was it all that it cracked up to be? Was it harder? Was it easier? Tell me a little bit about how you felt about that transition.
So the transition was um, an unusual transition, like I said, coming from an undergraduate degree. and going into a graduate program, I guess the biggest thing was the demand that the graduate degree had on me. Because to be honest, there was things that we had to learn, and the professors expected us to learn um, in a quicker time period than in undergraduate um, degree setting. And that was, I guess, the biggest, you know, academic hill that I had to climb. And I guess for me, it was applying all the stuff I learned in undergrad and taking that information and allowing it to excel me in graduate school. So having that background was something that, was really important and something that I used. But I guess the hardest thing was the amount of information that you had to learn in a small period of time.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you did to make that transition easier? I know you talked about, now you're from Berrien Springs, so you didn't have to have much of a environmental, if you want to say, adjustment. But what are some of the things that you did to help with that transition from the undergrad to the graduate program, and also the amount of information that you had to learn in the shorter period of time? One, and then two, what was your major in undergrad? And do you think that was a good major for you to choose? Did it help you? Did it hurt you? What do you think?
So, for the first question, what I would say is that there's certain things that I changed coming into the grad program that I did differently than in undergrad. And one of those things was I definitely read the book more. I know in undergrad, people kind of take advantage of the book and don't really use it as much. But in graduate school, that's a good resource because it gives you the foundational information that you need so that when you look over the material the teacher gives you, whether that being slides or papers that they may hand out, it's easier to understand. And the biggest thing that I also did was I compartmentalized a lot of things, especially in anatomy, gross anatomy, upper extremity, lower extremity, just putting those um, on a main category and just try to analyze them in a group
Hmm.
was the big. And for me, my undergraduate degree was in pre-physical therapy, and it
Okay.
was an allied health degree. And it was, you can't really do much with the degree,
Right.
but for me, a very good background in what I needed. We took kinesiology, anatomy, and physiology. So it gave me the prereqs that I needed, and then also gave me understanding of kind of assimilated what PT school would be like in essence.
Okay. So yeah, this is actually an interesting one because I've had people that have done the pre-physical therapy degree and then decided that they didn't want to do PT. Is that something that ever crossed your mind? Like, if I do this pre-physical therapy degree and I decide I want to change my mind, I'm gonna do X, Y, or Z. Like, is that something that came to your mind?
Um, I don't think that changing my major was something that crossed my mind only because I had that passion.
Hmm.
But the only thing that kind of, you know, crossed my mind, if you would say, is the fact that, you really can't do anything with a pre-physical therapy degree
Right.
because
Right.
it's like a degree that you use to get into grad school, PT school.
Yep.
So my only thing was probably changing it to something that is more concentrated. Because I know Andrews, here they have a exercise science degree, which you could probably do more, have more job options for that coming out of undergrad. So yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. That degree is always one of those ones that kind of scared me going into school myself. I was
Yeah.
kind of between pre-med, pre-physical therapy, pre-med. I was kind of going back and forth in my mind. For me, I knew that I wanted to have a lot of rigor. So I wanted my undergrad to be as close to graduate school as possible, which is why, to me, I picked, in my estimation, one of the harder majors, which was biology. It covered both bases if I wanted to do pre med or pre PT, and also it just gave me that stress, if you want to say, that I felt like I needed, because for me, it was terrifying thinking about having to go to grad school. Before you came to PT school, did you look up any videos on like how PT school was, or just to get yourself kind of in that mental space to take on this endeavor?
Yeah, so I watched a couple of videos of, what PT school was in essence, like to give me like a gist of what it would be like. And I found a lot of videos that were helpful, in doing that, and it allowed me to see, what I would encounter in the future. So that's just some benefits that I gained from watching those videos ahead of time. Because a lot of people sometimes they don't really know the rigor of PT school and they don't
Hmm.
really know what it is there. So for me, it was just beneficial just to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
Um,
And guys, I can speak from personal experience. This is a, this is a special interview for me because Denoy and I have made it through our first year of PT school. I've seen him, I've seen other classmates as well, just kind of being that struggle. Different people adapt differently, and Denoy being one of the younger ones, always calm, cool, collected, never really looked like you were stressed out. But I know it was a stressful period, particularly this past summer, Um in this journey, right? Because I like to take aspects of, PT school and just kind of apply it to life. I'm not sure if academics has ever, has been something that's always kind of come naturally and easy to you. For me, it wasn't. But in this journey, we struggle with different things, struggle with life. What is one of the L's? So I'll say L. When I say L, I mean loss. It could either be a loss or it could be a lesson that you learned, especially you being so young coming into PT school. What is one of the main lessons or losses, if you want to say mistake or whatever, that you had to make during this journey?
okay. So I guess the biggest loss for me was um, I did not really have good time management coming into the grad program only because the time management skills that I had in undergrad, I had to apply them differently. And coming into grad school, you have a little less time to do the things that you would usually do on a daily basis. And for me, not having the time management skills that I needed for grad school was something that was detrimental. And over time, I developed time management. But I guess the second biggest thing was when you come to grad school. Um, well, when I came to grad school, I didn't really know the depth of information that I would take in. So I kind of really skimmed a lot of things. And then when it came to that first anatomy test, um, the questions were like more in depth.
Right.
So for me, it was like studying. I was putting the time in, but I wasn't studying in depth. And I feel like that's a thing that, you know, as undergrad, I took for granted because I would skim something and then go to the test and, pass the test. But for graduate school, it's not like that. So eye opener for me. So time management and then really getting in depth information. So those are the two biggest things for
Yeah.
me.
And it's funny that you said time management. You hear that word thrown out a lot, but it's funny because my dad actually gave me a little different perspective. He said, you can't manage time, right? But you can manage yourself in time. So a lot of the times it's really just our self management, because time is moving whether we decide to be productive or not. So a lot of the times it's just figuring out how we can manage the distractions, the discipline, the energy, and all that stuff around us, so that when we do sit down and study or plan out our day, we actually have a productive outcome. So with yourself, you've gone through this journey so far. We still got another 2 years ahead of us. However, where do you see yourself in the next 7 years? It could be clinical practice, or just, where do you see your life in the next 7 years?
So in the next 7 years, what I basically plan to do is develop my craft in physical therapy because I feel like coming out of school, there's a lot of things that I won't know. So definitely spending the time and learning the in and outs of physical therapy, developing my craft, and getting experience so that when the opportunity presents itself to move up or do something or specialize, I'll have that experience and that time under my belt that I apply to learning the skills of physical therapy. So that's what I basically see myself doing for the next 7 years, just developing my skills and developing my craft.
Yeah. And do you have any specific settings that you might be interested in? I know a lot of people in our class, you have the people who are sports. They want to be that sports physical therapist, big dreams to work for basketball, baseball, hockey. I think I've even heard team. And then you have the other group of people who like the neuro stuff. And then you have that small little population who might want to do geriatrics, inpatient rehab. You know, what setting are you kind of gearing your mind towards as of right now? I know it's a little early, but
Good question. Good question. So right now I'm leaning towards the orthopedics side
okay.
of it because I played a lot of sports, growing up, and I've always had a inclination to the exercise and the fast-paced side of physical therapy. So orthopedics is definitely where I see myself settling at, and I also, just plan to experience other parts of physical therapy and see what I like. But right now, I think I'm leaning more towards orthopedics.
Okay, ortho. Sounds good. All right, man. So, last question, because I like to keep these conversation and these nuggets, kind of concise. So this is Denoi, 22 years old. He came, did a 3+3 program. So when you graduate, you're going to be 25?
24.
24. Wow.
Yeah.
So he's going to be Dr. Black at 24 years old. That's awesome. We're going to have to do a follow up interview when we all graduate and pass our MPTE. But Denoi Black, 25. Do you have any special interests? I know you know some things about you, but that you want to tell the audience about any special talents, that could be related to PT school or not, just to give the audience just a little bit of a view because a lot of the times people come to PT school and it's just PT, PT, PT. But, what are some of your interests outside of physical therapy?
Okay, so outside of physical therapy, um, I like doing sports and music. Those are two of my
Yep.
biggest passions.
He's a musician,
In the
guys.
in
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in relation, I feel like my sports background will give me an upper edge in dealing with patients, especially in the sports realm
Hmm.
and orthopedics setting. And that's kind of something that um, drew me to physical therapy in the first place, relating to people that, might not be able to do their sport they want to do right now because they have an injury. Um, so I guess me playing sports and being athletic gives me a pathetic side that I can, empathize with them.
Yeah. And this is actually interesting. You hear this in passing. I've heard it before. When I was growing up, I also heard it, but it's been said that things like, learning how to play the piano or some type of instrument can have a direct correlation to your academic performance. Do you feel like that's true, or do you feel like you just have more of a natural talent for the piano?
I would say definitely that um, playing the piano has definitely helped me academically because it uses, certain parts of the brain as we learned in neuro. Certain connections are made that you could, you know, apply them to different areas academically. For me, it was like memorization. Playing the piano for the amount of years that I've played has definitely allowed me to memorize stuff faster
Mm.
and I'll pick up on stuff that maybe other people won't pick up on. So I guess a musician's ear, a musician's brain has equipped me to understand things probably at a deeper level um, than someone that probably doesn't play an instrument.
Interesting.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So is that something that when you have kids, you're gonna, kind of gear them towards? Because I know when we were younger, our parents kind of forced us to do it, but we kind of fought our way out of it. But is that something that you see yourself, you know, having your kids or do in the future?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like, especially nurturing talent is always good,
Mm,
and putting them in position to play many instruments, and not only play instruments, but learn how to, you know, go throughout life doing your passion is something that I want to push on them. So definitely, I'll allow them to, do play different instruments, see what they like best, and definitely push that for them.
okay, good. All right. So, guys, again, Denoy, thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have any last words of wisdom? There's someone watching this, they're a physical therapy or pre physical therapy student. Their dream is to get into physical therapy school. Let's even say they're younger. They want to do 3+3, or they just started school early. What advice would you give them in this for this endeavor?
So the biggest advice I would give is always follow your passion, let passion guide you. And the thing I would say to not overlook is
Mm,
discipline. Because discipline, you know, is something that sets your foundation for life. So have discipline, let passion guide you, and then never give up on your dreams. Because, there's always a door that will open for you if you have passion.
great, great. Yeah, being passionate. You can definitely tell the people who enjoy what they're doing, teachers, professors, students, and that is something that helps in life. So, guys, thank you again. Denoy, his socials are plugged beneath. We are going to try to get this thing up and running so people can just reach out and have people to talk to while they're endeavoring to go on this journey, or while they're even going through this journey, because this is something we are currently going through. But without further ado, this is Denoi Black, and this is DPT Talk. Until the next time, thank you guys, and we will see you soon.